Hello, dear students. We were studying the chapter Women, Caste, and Reform. And now we'll start part 3 of this chapter. Part 3 with the topic Gulamgiri. What is Gulamgiri? Gulamgiri is based on the word Gulam, means slave. Gulam means slave. So, slavery, Gulamgiri, slavery. This was the name of the book written by Jyotiba Phule, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. He was a great social reformer of Maharashtra. One of the most vocal amongst the low caste leaders was Jyotiba Phule. As I told you, he was born in 1827. He studied in schools set up by Christian missionaries. So he was uh, taught in English medium and English educated person. On growing up, developed his own ideas about the injustices of caste society. He set out to attack the Brahmins, claimed that they were superior to others because at that time in the society, as we have discussed earlier in the previous video, that casteism was very big social evil in India, right, including all the parts of India. And since they were Aryans, so Brahmins used to consider themselves Aryans, and they also proclaimed that Brahmins are the best race in India. Jyotiba Phule argued that the Aryans were foreigners and they were not Indians, so who came from outside the subcontinent and defeated and subjugated the true children of the country. So those who had lived here from before the coming of the Aryans. So it means Mahatma Phule described that Aryans were not Indians and they were foreigners. As the Aryans established their dominance, they began looking at the defeated population as inferior, as low caste people. So in this way, the hierarchical system in the society or casteism emerged after the policies of Aryans, whatever they adopted after means came into dominance. According to Phule, the upper castes had no right to their land and power. In reality, the land belonged to indigenous people, the so-called low castes. So, the low castes people have the real means right on the land because they are the real owners of land of the country. Phule claimed that before Aryan rule, there existed a golden age when warrior peasants tilled the land and ruled the Maratha countryside in just and fair ways. So it was good system before Aryan came in India in this part. It was the golden period, golden age when the peasants tilled the land and ruled the Maratha countryside. He proposed that Shudras, laboring classes or laboring castes, Shudras, and Ati Shudras, untouchables means very low castes people, should unite to challenge caste discrimination. It means they are discriminated by the upper castes people, so called upper caste people like Brahmins, so they should be united. The Satya Sodhak Samaj was established by him, an association. Jyotiba Phule founded this association, propagated caste equality. It means Mahatma Jyotiba Phule focused and emphasized on equality among all caste people. In 1873, he wrote a book named Gulamgiri, meaning slavery, as we have discussed slavery. Some 10 years before this, the American Civil War had been fought, leading to end of slavery in America. In America, this was the period when Civil War began and against racial discrimination on the basis of color. So Phule dedicated his book to all the Americans who had fought to free slaves, thus establishing a link between the conditions of lower castes in India and black slaves in America. So Mahatma Phule compares the situation and describes a link between the discrimination on the basis of caste in India and on the basis of color in America or USA. So you have to remember this is the link he described in this book in Gulamgiri between caste discrimination in India and color discrimination in America. So as this example shows, Phule extended his criticism of caste system to argue against all forms of inequality. It means equality should be implemented, inequalities should be removed. He was concerned about the plight of upper caste women, the miseries of laborers, and the humiliation of the low castes. This movement for caste reform was continued in the 20th century by other great Dalit leaders like Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar in Western India and E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar in South, because he was the leader of Kerala, reformer of Kerala, Ramaswamy Naikar, or also known as Periyar. This was the another name of Ramaswamy Naikar. Now, this was about we are also human beings. In 1927, Ambedkar said we now want to go to the tank only to prove the like others, that like others. We are also human beings. Hindu society should be recognized and two main principles, equality and absence of casteism. So Ambedkar also tried to remove casteism from the society, and if he also emphasized on equality among all men and women and upper caste and lower castes, etc. So this is the image, the gateway to the Madurai temple drawn by Thomas Daniel 1792. Untouchables were not allowed at that time to enter in these kinds of temples. You can see this image. Who could enter temples? Upper caste people were allowed to enter the temples. Ambedkar was born into Mahar family, Mahar caste, so-called lower caste, low caste in Maharashtra. As a child, he experienced that what caste prejudice meant in everyday life. In school, he was forced to sit outside the classroom on the ground because in the classroom, most of the students were belonging to the upper castes and the lower caste people were not allowed to drink water from taps that upper caste children used. After finishing school, he got a fellowship to go to the US for higher studies. On his return to India in 1919, B.R. Ambedkar returned to India in 1919. He wrote extensively about upper caste power in contemporary society. In 1927, he started a temple entry movement. Temple entry movement was started by Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar in 1927, in which his Mahar caste followers participated. Brahman priests were outraged when the Dalits used water from the temple tank. But these all kinds of things were done by the people under the leadership of like Bhim Rao Ambedkar to get equality like upper castes. So Ambedkar led three such movements for temple entry between 1927 and 1935. His aim was to make everyone see the power of caste prejudices within society. Next one is the non-Brahman movement. Non-Brahman movement. In the early 20th century, the non-Brahman movement started. Initiative came from those non-Brahman castes that had acquired access to education. Means they got education, wealth and influence. They argued that Brahmins were heirs of Aryan invaders and they were foreigners from the north who had conquered southern lands from the original inhabitants of the region. The indigenous Dravidian races in south, found in south, they also challenged Brahminical claims to power. It means they also considered that Brahmins were not a real authority of this area. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called Periyar, he was called, came from a middle class family. Interestingly, he had been an ascetic in his early life and had studied Sanskrit scriptures carefully. Later, he became a member of Congress, only to leave it in disgust when he found that at a feast organized by nationalists, seating arrangements followed caste distinctions. That is, the lower castes were made to sit at a distance from the upper castes. So, in this way, he felt that there was high means a range of casteism was followed in Congress itself. So, he was not happy with these kinds of policies. Convinced that untouchables had to fight for their dignity, Periyar founded the Self Respect Movement. SRM. Self Respect Movement was started by Periyar or E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. He argued that untouchables were the true upholders of an original Tamil and Dravidian culture, which had been subjugated by Brahmins. He felt that all religious authorities saw social divisions and inequality as God given. It means God has made all the people equal. Untouchables had to free themselves, therefore, from all religions in order to achieve social equality. So, if you want to be socially equal, you have to leave all the religious activities, all the religious beliefs that discriminates on the basis of caste. Periyar was an outspoken critic of Hindu scriptures, especially the codes of Manu. He was against this idea. The ancient lawgiver Manu and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. He said that these texts had been used to establish the authority of Brahmins over lower castes and the domination of men over women. So he opposed these granthas or the holy books of Hinduism. These assertions did not go unchallenged. The forceful speeches, writings, and movements of lower caste leaders did lead to rethinking and some self criticism among upper caste nationalist leaders. So, I hope that you are understanding. These assertions did not go unchallenged. It means some problems were faced by these assertions. Forceful speeches, writings, and movements of lower caste leaders, they led to rethink and some self-criticism among upper caste nationalist leaders. But Orthodox Hindu society, means conservative people, also reacted by founding Sanatana Dharma Sabhas and Bharat Dharma Mahamandal in the north. These two organizations in North India and associations like Brahman Sabha in Bengal. The object of these associations, what was the objective? What was the aim? To uphold caste distinctions as a cornerstone of Hinduism and show how this was sanctified by scriptures. Debates and struggles over caste continued beyond the colonial period and are still going on in our own times. It means casteism was completely not removed. It was not removed completely, but reduced on a large scale. Organizing for reform. Here we'll discuss about some organizations which were formed by many social reformers for removing all the social evils from the society. The first is Brahma Samaj. It was established by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. And this Samaj prohibited all forms of idolatry and sacrifice believed in the Upanishads and forbade its members from criticizing other religious practices. It critically drew upon the ideals of religion, especially of Hinduism and Christianity, looking at their negative and positive dimensions both. Kesava Chandra Sen was the member of Brahma Samaja, one of the main leader of Brahma Samaj. Next one is Desrosiers and Young Bengal Movement. It was started by Henry Louis Vivian Desrosiers. He was a teacher at Hindu College in Calcutta in 1820s. In 1826, he started this movement, Young Bengal movement, promoted radical ideas and encouraged his pupils to question all authority. Referred to as the Young Bengal movement, his students attacked tradition and custom, demanded education for women, and campaigned for freedom of thought and expression. So, it was very important role played by Henry Louis Vivien Desrosiers. The Ramakrishna Mission was established by Swami Vivekananda. The Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Vivekananda's Guru Ramakrishna Paramhans. The Ramakrishna Mission stressed the idea of salvation through social service and selfless action. We have to serve humanity, serve human being. This was the idea of Ramakrishna. The Pratna Samaj was established in 1867 at Bombay, and here it was the main aim so to remove caste restrictions, abolish child marriage, encourage the education of women, and end the ban on widow remarriage. After that, Veda Samaja, established in 1864. Veda Samaja, inspired by Brahma Samaj. After that, Aligarh movement was started by Ali Sayyid Ahmad Khan. Sayyid Ahmad Khan, 1875, established a college, Aligarh. Later became the Aligarh Muslim University. The institution offered modern education including Western science to Muslims. So it was specially for education, providing education for Muslims. The Aligarh movement, as it was known, had an enormous impact in the area of educational reform. The Singh Sabha movement, led by Sikhs, the first Singh Sabhas were formed at Amritsar in 1873 and at Lahore in 1879. The Sabhas sought to rid Sikhism of superstitions, caste distinctions, and practices seen by them as non-Sikh. They promoted education among the Sikhs, often combining modern instruction with Sikh teaching. So, figure 20, you can see Khalsa College, Amritsar, established in 1892 by leaders of Singh Sabha movement, about which we have discussed recently or before a short while. Now, last topic, black slaves and white planters. You have read about how Jyotirao Phule established a connection in his book Gulamgiri between caste oppression and the practice of slavery in America on the basis of color. From the time that European explorers and traders landed in Africa in the 17th century, they reached in Africa in 17th century, a trade in slaves began. Black people were captured and brought from Africa to America, sold to white planters, and made to work on cotton and other plantations. Most of them in southern United States. In the plantations, they had to work long hours, typically from dawn to dusk, punished for inefficient work and whipped and tortured. So it was very miserable condition of the laborers or slaves. Many people, white and black, opposed slavery through organized protest. In doing so, they invoked the spirit of American Revolution 1776, exhorting, see your declaration. Americans, do you understand your own language? In his moving Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln held that those who had fought slavery had done so for the cause of democracy. He asked the people to strive for racial equality so that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. It means this government, this is the definition of democracy by Abraham Lincoln, should be existing only if we follow equality. Figure 21, slave sale, South Carolina, USA, 1856. Here you see potential buyers examining African slaves at an auction. Now, dear students, we have completed the chapter. You should revise and read it from the textbook. Thank you. Have a nice day.